16-4 against the spread. I said 16-4 against the spread this past weekend. All my predictions on Patreon. Please sign up. Just search Mark Rogers TV exclusive live streams, insider look, betting advice, and also watch parties there at Mark Rogers TV. And did I say 16-4 against the spread? All right, stock market watch. The winners, the losers, the trends going up and plummeting down in college football. Please smash that like button and subscribe here at Mark Rogers TV, the voice of college football. Hit that bell for the notifications. That way you know when we're going live. And, of course, that Patreon link, it's down in the description section below. Two big powerhouses in the Big Ten. They're supposed to be the challengers to Ohio State. They are Penn State and Michigan, and they are trending down big time, especially the Nittany Lions at 0-3 for the first time since 2001. That fluke loss to Indiana, but followed up by a pretty marginal effort against Ohio State, losing by a couple scores and never threatening the Buckeyes. And then it all came crashing down bear market style against Maryland. Penn State beat Maryland last year 59-0. The Nittany Lions have outscored Maryland the past three seasons 136-3. Now a team that has finished in the top 15 in the country 4 consecutive seasons. 3 of those times in the top 10, and posted season records of 11-3 with the Big Ten championship, 11-2, 9-4, 11-2 again with a Cotton Bowl win, and 2 years earlier with a Fiesta Bowl win, a mainstay in the top 10 over the past 5 years. Penn State falls to 0-3. Michigan, huge first game effort, so we thought, against Minnesota, but the Golden Gophers having their own issues. Michigan now falls to 1-2 after losing to lowly Michigan State, who turns around and loses to Iowa by 6 touchdowns, and Michigan State, who had lost already to Rutgers. They were good enough to beat the Wolverines. And now we have Michigan losing to Indiana for the first time in 33 years. Check out my instant analysis video of the Indiana-Michigan game. Where can we find any positional unit for the Wolverines that's performing? Underperforming, they lose by 17 at Indiana. Michigan is now 1-2. Penn State, Michigan, tack on Nebraska in terms of traditional powers that are already 3 weeks into the Big Ten season out of the conference race. Next up, what about Tennessee? 2 consecutive wins to start the season, 4 straight downers. This is a team that led Arkansas 13-0 Saturday night, gave up 24 straight, lost to the Hogs. This is also a team that was 2-0 and led mighty Georgia at half, 21-17. Since then, they gave up 27 straight to Georgia, lost 34-7 to Kentucky, obliterated by Alabama, lose by 2 scores to an Arkansas team that is up and coming. Tennessee and Jeremy Pruitt, 4 straight losses. Vanderbilt, is this really a trend down? Well, it is to a certain extent, because Vandy's been able to make it to bowl games under Derek Mason, occasionally, I think 1 in 4 years. They usually get their 4 or 5 wins, mostly outside the SEC, but with a 10-game SEC-only slate, could Vandy go 0-10? Well, this past weekend's game at Mississippi State presented the best opportunity to win a game this season, but Vandy fell to 0-5 as they dominated Mississippi State, I should say, in this one, 478 to 204 in yardage and 30-14 in first downs. But Vandy found a way to lose to Mississippi State, and now with Kentucky, Florida, Tennessee, Georgia, and Missouri left, Vandy at 0-5 could be winless in the SEC at 0-10. And finally, on the downside, we've got Florida State once again appearing in our stock market crash section, 2-5. They were a 2-point favorite at Pitt, got off to a 14-3 start, and then collapsed against the Panthers, a team that had lost 4 consecutive games, but unlike what we've seen in college football over the last 30 or 40 years, Doak Campbell Stadium has been a place to go get healthy for most teams. And Pitt, the most recent, with 4 consecutive losses, goes to Florida State and downs the Seminoles by 24 points. Those are the losers. How about the big winners in college football? Trending up. This is a continuing trend for quite some time, 2.5 years. Let's make it for the Cincinnati Bearcats and Luke Fickell. 4-8 his first season. The Bearcats are now 28-5 under Luke over the past 2.5 years, including that 6-0 mark. And they are the talk of the group of five in regards to a college football playoff appearance. They've got UCF in 2 weeks, Tulsa, and an American Conference Championship game, either against SMU or against Tulsa as it looks right now. Cincinnati trending up for sure, and that's been a trend that's been skyrocketing for a long, long time. How about Notre Dame? 7-0, but the 7-0 before the last few weeks was a bit shaky, that undefeated record, but they have been much, much stronger after shaky efforts against the likes of Duke and Florida State and Louisville in particular, 12-7. Of course, they were coming off a 45-3 rout of Pitt, solid win against Georgia Tech, and then Notre Dame gave us what we haven't seen in quite some time, a win against a truly great football team, an elite football program, downing Clemson 47-40 in a tremendous football game in overtime. So Notre Dame now wins a big game that sets itself up for a run to the ACC championship game and a probable rematch with the Clemson Tigers. Notre Dame at 7-0 and playing its best football of the season, coming off a historic win over number one for the first time at Notre Dame since back in 1993 against Florida State. Also, we've got quite the trio, or make it a quad set in the Big Ten. This group is 10-1. We're talking Purdue, Northwestern. Also, we've got Indiana, of course. And let's throw in Maryland because they've been so surprising over the last 2 weeks. Purdue's 2-0. They've been robbed of COVID for one particular game. Indiana, of course, 3-0, including wins over the big powers in the Big Ten East, Michigan and Penn State. Northwestern upped its record to 3-0, downing Nebraska. The Wildcats have already matched their 2019 win total when they went 3-9. And let's throw in Maryland. This is astonishing to me. The Maryland Terps last season lost 8 of 9 games in the Big Ten. Throw out the Rutgers win because everybody beats Rutgers at least 2019 and before that. In the 8 losses suffered by Maryland in the Big Ten, they were outscored by 38 points per game. They were annihilated every week in the Big Ten. Consider this. After playing that bad of football in 2019, they come into 2020. They go to Northwestern, who never routs anyone. And Maryland loses 43-3. 43-3. Then Minnesota comes in, takes a 17-point lead in the fourth quarter. So this Maryland team, imagine how the psyche of a team like this would stand after getting obliterated in 2019, losing by 40 points and being down to a top 10 team from last year by 17 in the fourth quarter. How in the world? I am flabbergasted and impressed with Maryland's psyche and resolve to have the intestinal fortitude to come back from 17 down under those circumstances, beat Minnesota in OT, come back this week, go to Happy Valley against Penn State, and I just read you the numbers, 59-0 last year, 136-3 the past 3 seasons, and not just beat Penn State, just not pull out a victory, dominate Penn State. 35-16 or 35-19 is the final. Did not do this game justification. Maryland blew out, dominated, destroyed, embarrassed Penn State. The Terps are now 2-1. The other teams are primed for a run at their Big Ten respective divisions. Purdue, Indiana, Northwestern, and Maryland trending up in the Big Ten. How about Texas A&M now 5-1? Blasted South Carolina 48-3. So a win against South Carolina, not impressive. Beating South Carolina 48-3. Who's doing that? Nobody else. South Carolina at least hangs in games against good teams, not against the Aggies. They are rolling 48-3 in this one. They've got the win against Florida. Tennessee, Ole Miss, LSU, and Auburn stand in the way of Texas A&M completing a 9-1 season and a possible college football playoff appearance. And then finally, Liberty, Liberty, Liberty. Hugh Freeze and the Flames are 7-0, and they have beaten a Power 5 team. They beat Virginia Tech on the road in Blacksburg. crazy finish, improbable finish, fluke of a finish, probably should have lost the game, thought they did lose the game, but given second life by a call at the end of the game, Liberty kicks the 50-plus yard field goal to win 38-35 against Virginia Tech. This is the first time in its history, its short football history, that Liberty has defeated a Power 5 conference team. They had been 0-7 in 2018 and 19 against Power 5 teams. 0-7, they break that streak against Virginia Tech in dramatic fashion, winning 38-35. So Liberty has a little meat to its record of 7-0 now. The previous 6 opponents on Liberty's schedule, a combined 5-32. So this is something Liberty needed to gain credibility, defeat a decent Power 5 team. They did so against the Hokies. Stock market down, then we bring you back up into a bull market here at Mark Rogers TV, the voice of college football. Please smash that like button, subscribe here, and remember on Patreon, 16-4 against the spread this past weekend. Our aim is 60% against the spread, 80% against the money line. That will make you money and would have made you a rich, rich individual this past weekend. Did I say 16-4 against the spread? See you next time.